Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, let's get straight to something, well, pretty universal. Managing body odor.
Right. It sounds basic, but when you're living alongside other people,
It's fundamental, isn't it? Almost like food or sleep in terms of social comfort. We've all had that little worry, am I okay?
definitely. It's this subtle thing, but when it goes wrong, or you think it might be going wrong,
It can really throw you off.
yeah.
Yeah, it's surprisingly disruptive.
Which brings us nicely to a challenge many of you listening have probably grappled with. Finding a deodorant that actually works, doesn't cost the earth, and doesn't feel like you're slathering on harsh chemicals.
There's often this perceived, trade-off, isn't there? The really effective ones seem to come with longer, maybe more concerning ingredient lists or a higher price tag.
Exactly. And maybe they work in ways you're not entirely comfortable with, like blocking pores.
Hmm.
So for this deep dive, we stumbled upon this really fascinating personal story. The title is just a string of letters, KGGGBKGGHKJHG. Looks like the author wanted to keep it anonymous, maybe. Seems like it.
Anyway, it details one person's, epic quest, years long, to find a natural and effective alternative to standard deodorant.
And it sounds like this wasn't just about preference. It came from a specific background.
Yeah, exactly. A rural upbringing, apparently. Very focused on, self-sufficiency, making do, figuring things out yourself, not just buying the off-the-shelf solution.
That mindset really changes how you'd approach a problem like this, I imagine. Less reliance on industry, more on ingenuity.
Precisely. So our mission today is to unpack this person's journey, look at the deodorant solution they came up with, and really get into what makes it tick, its features, the potential benefits.
Sounds good. Where do we start? The problem they were trying to solve.
Yeah, let's start there. According to this account, what was the big issue with the usual deodorants they found?
Well, it goes back to that trade-off we mentioned. The author found or felt that effectiveness seemed directly linked to higher cost and more chemicals.
So the cheap stuff didn't work, and the stuff that worked.
Had ingredients that raised flags. They specifically mentioned concerns, things they'd heard maybe, about potential links between some deodorant chemicals and health issues.
Okay.
And also this whole idea of antiperspirants actually blocking sweat glands. That was something they saw as, well, unnatural,
Yeah.
detrimental even.
Right, that point about blocking sweat glands, why did they feel that was a bad thing? Could you expand on that a bit?
The thinking outlined is basically that sweating is a natural, necessary bodily function. For temperature regulation, maybe getting rid of some waste.
Okay.
So from this perspective, artificially stopping that, it's seen as interfering with your body's own systems, working against it rather than with it.
Interesting take. And they also really stress that in our society, deodorant isn't just a nice to have, it's almost a basic requirement for, functioning socially.
Yeah, they frame it as basic hygiene, essential for social comfort, not just vanity.
Like brushing your teeth.
Kind of. And they make a point that underarm odor, specifically, can be trickier to manage than just general cleanliness you get from washing with soap and water. It needed a specific solution.
Which perfectly sets up this whole long search they embarked on. Tell us more about that part, the inventor's journey.
Well, it seems deeply rooted in that rural background we talked about. Resourcefulness, efficiency, finding solutions with what's at hand. That was the mindset.
Not just popping to the store.
Definitely not. This is a long process. Years of experimenting, trying different things. Trial and error, basically.
And it wasn't all smooth sailing, I gather. Some experiments went wrong.
Oh, yeah. The account mentions things like skin irritation, reactions, basically setbacks. Things that didn't work, or worse, caused problems.
That shows some serious dedication.
It really does. They were clearly committed to finding something that was both effective and gentle, even when it got frustrating. But eventually, they just tried hitting on something that worked.
The breakthrough.
Exactly. A solution they felt was environmentally friendly, super inexpensive, and used easily obtainable ingredients.
Okay, so the solution. What is it actually made of? What are the core components?
The account doesn't give like a precise formula, but it mentions the key ingredients are extracts from plants, various plants it seems, and mineral salts.
Plant extracts and mineral salts. Sounds pretty natural.
That's the emphasis, using things found in nature rather than synthesized chemicals. While they don't name specific plants or salts, many natural deodorants use things known for antimicrobial properties, like certain essential oils or mineral compounds like potassium alum.
Right, that makes sense. So, okay, what are the claimed benefits? The author listed quite a few advantages for this homemade approach.
They did. Number one, obviously, is that it eliminates odor effectively. They claim it works for a good stretch, like 12 to 24 hours.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah. Then a huge one. It's very inexpensive to make or use. Plus, it apparently doesn't stain clothes, which is always a bonus.
Definitely. I've lost shirts to deodorant stains before.
Haven't we all? And sustainability is big here, too. They mention refillable packaging.
Oh, that's great. More people are looking for that now.
Exactly. Then you get into the health-related claims. Free from alcohol, aluminum, parabens, basically all synthetic chemicals.
No, aluminum is a big one for many people.
Yeah. And they even state it's non-toxic if accidentally swallowed, which, if you have kids around,
That's quite reassuring, yeah.
very. And it ties back to that earlier point. It doesn't block the axillary lymph nodes. It works differently.
So how does it work then, if it's not blocking things?
The idea presented is that it neutralizes the bacteria that cause odor without stopping the natural sweating process or interfering with lymph nodes. It addresses the smell, not the sweat itself. And it's a liquid formula, apparently.
Okay, a liquid. Now, they mentioned two different versions or options.
Yeah, that was interesting. There's the normal deodorant for everyday use, apply after showering.
Standard.
Right. But then there's this other one they call deodorant with washing.
Deodorant with washing. What does that mean?
It sounds like it's formulated so you can apply it directly, even if you already have some body odor happening. It supposedly neutralizes the existing smell and provides ongoing protection.
So you wouldn't need to, like, quickly wash first if you were caught out.
That seems to be the idea, a kind of instant fix plus prevention, all in one.
Huh. That's actually quite innovative. A really practical idea.
It seems very practical, yeah.
So, after all this effort, this journey, finding this solution, what was the motivation to share it? Why put this account out there?
It seems like a mix of things. Based on the writing, there's definitely a strong desire just to help other people.
Altruism.
Yeah, offering them a way to save money, to avoid chemicals they might be worried about, a genuine wish to share something beneficial.
That's quite refreshing.
It is. And alongside that, there's also an honest mention of hoping to earn a bit of money from it. Perhaps not getting rich, but making it sustainable to share, maybe.
Fair enough, if you've invented something useful.
Exactly. And underlying it all seems to be this vision of empowerment, giving people an accessible, independent way to meet a basic need. Less reliance on big companies, more self-reliance.
Which brings us right back to where they started, that self-sufficient mindset.
Absolutely. Comes full circle.
Okay, so as we sort of wrap up this deep dive into KJGVK, JGH, KJHG, and this whole natural deodorant journey, what are the main things you think we should take away?
Well, I think it starts with that initial problem, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
dissatisfaction with conventional options, the cost, the chemicals, the way they work. That frustration fueled a really long, dedicated search.
Right, it wasn't easy.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it led to a solution based on, well, simplicity. Plant extracts, mineral salts, going back to basics in a way.
And the unique selling points, if you like, are that low cost, the eco-friendly aspect with the refills.
Definitely. And that clever deodorant with washing concept. Plus the whole philosophy of working with your body's natural processes, not against them.
Yeah, not blocking things up.
Precisely. It makes you question if effective personal care always needs to be so complicated or synthetic.
This whole story, this account, it really gives you pause for thought, doesn't it? It makes you wonder, what if there were more readily available, simple, natural solutions for our everyday needs like this? How could that shift our reliance on mass-produced consumer goods? How might it change our own sense of capability, of self-sufficiency?
The fascinating thought. What else could be approached this way?
Exactly. Definitely something for you, the listener, to mull over. Thanks for digging into this with me today.